Hello and welcome to our series of interviews with global channel chiefs from leading technology vendors. I'm delighted to be joined by Luciana Broggi, who's the head of global route to market for HP. Luciana, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Alastair. Pleasure being here. I think we all hope to be face-to-face this year, but well, did work. It will be for the next time.
Hopefully, yes. And obviously, we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. But maybe we could start with how you are coping and how you are thriving at the moment in the current environment. As you know, the theme of our event is Thrive. So what's your personal situation like? Are you back to physical office? Are you having meetings with partners yet?
Well, it has been an interesting journey, right? I haven't been in the office for more than 18 months, since March 2020. We are starting reopening the offices around the world, with different timelines as we speak. It has been a mixed bag, as we say, right? In the sense that, for sure, the personal contact with the customers, the partners, is really the thing we are missing the most. And, I don't want to forget that with my colleagues, because, I think we all get a lot of energy from meeting people and, talking about things face to face. On the other hand, I think the whole industry really made an incredible transformation. We have been able for the last year and a half to really do everything we were doing before, almost, right? From home, and acquiring a different level of flexibility, right? I think the family, friends, personal time probably got some benefits out of it. I think we all probably need to learn a little bit about, how to separate personal life and working life. But overall, I think we all learn a lot, and I hope a lot of the learnings will keep with us going forward. And for sure, what we see from our customers is really going to that direction.
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? A lot of what we're seeing in terms of changing behavior is, of course, directly and indirectly impacting the opportunity for HP and your partners. And how about your partners, Luciana? How are you seeing your partners performing at the moment? How are they thriving? And are you seeing any significant changes across the globe?
Yeah, well, I must say that, as always, the channel is incredible in the resilience. It shows every time we have changes, we have, unexpected events. If you think that, in March last year, we were all focusing, at least in the first months, we were all focusing at, how do we survive, right? Everybody was concerned about, business going down, about, how we could ensure, some level of predictability, how we could, ensure a minimum level of compensation, how we could expand the payment terms, because, everybody was concerned about this, right? And we had a lot of discussions with our channel partners about it. And we all, we put in place a emergency program, specifically for that. And then suddenly, we had to cope with a different reality, which was the market exploded. And, I think the industry overall had a big responsibility to keep some of the basic businesses alive, right? If you think about education, if you think about working from home, if you think about healthcare, if you think about manufacturing, the dependency of the world on IT became even bigger. And, for me, the lesson about resilience, I look at our channel partners that were impacted by the pandemic, different speeds and different timing. As you know, the COVID, had different waves in different parts of the world. So we always had, one part of the world impacted, one part of the world recovering, the other one growing. It was really a very dynamic environment that we had to deal with. But, the ability of the channel to listen, transform, and deliver on customer requirements has been incredible, right? And we work very closely together in evolving the portfolio, working on availability that has been, and it is, as we speak, one of the big challenges we have been facing, but also adapting very quickly, programs and realities that we needed to support the customers during the journey. And all of that, if you think, by implementing the transformation, because in HP, we had started earlier with the HP Amplify program introduction, we had started working at that. And we had at some point the question, do we stop it? Do we go ahead? But the realization that if possible, the world was even changing faster than we thought before COVID. So we had to continue, and we had to introduce a program. And that's why last year in November, we introduced Amplify, the Amplify program, and then Amplify Impact early this year as part of the journey to become much more effective in addressing customer needs.
So the introduction of the program was a big step for HP. It was quite a radical change in your program structure, and it created some challenges for partners. Can you talk about the progress of the Amplify program now? What are you seeing in terms of the way that the partners have adapted to it?
Yeah, as you probably remember, the program, the big change was that we moved from a program that was more looking backwards, right? Looking at how much business we have been doing together, right? To, yes, the size of the business is always important, but how do we build the capabilities and the level of collaboration required to address the needs and the opportunities of the future? And that part is a part that was demanding for HP and for the channel partners, right? And one particular element, which is the collaboration element, where we ask the partners to trust us and to share data with us, right, has been one of the most controversial, if you want, discussions we had for Amplify. But first of all, we were very proud and extremely grateful to our channel partners, because 98% of the channel partners that were eligible to the level of collaboration we wanted to establish opted in for the program. But also, we really saw the level of work and investments that the channel partners did in the last months to be able to do so, right? To create the reporting capabilities that we're enabled to share. And that's why we are very, very happy because, a couple of days ago, we launched what we call the HP Amplify Data Insights, which is the ability to give back to the partners based on the promise we made 1 year ago, and give them back the data they gave us, enriched by data we buy, by metadata we collect directly as HP and HP own data, and with the right level of analysis that enables them to really use the insight to grow the business, to be much more specific and much more surgical, if you want, in the way we offer solution to our customers, and we capture opportunity. So this is a beginning of a journey, and really, I would say, what we wanted to do 1 year ago, and finally we are really able to go further into it.
And you moved to a model with just 2 tiers in the program.
Correct. Yeah.
What has that meant for the number of partners in each tier? Have you seen changes, significant changes based on the new program structure?
The changes are more given by the fact, as you say, right? We went from 3 tiers to 2 tiers. So some partners went up, some, in the middle, the one that, disappeared is a kind of a middle tier. But today we don't really look at it as really tiers. We really look at it as 2 different ways of engaging with HP, right? We don't like to say it's a, low tier, high tier, whatever, right? We use medals in the past, but it's really different level of engagement, right? The synergy track is a track for partners that are very, very important to us, but they are willing to continue to work with us in a more traditional way. I don't want to say opportunistic, but more day by day, right? And the power, track is the track of the partners that really want to have a higher level of engagement. They are ready to invest more where we do invest more, and they really want to build a very strong relationship for the future. But the one is not more important than the other, right? The level of engagement, the level of investment is different, but when we run the business on a daily basis, we really work very closely with both, tracks of channel partners, if you want.
And the data sharing element is an interesting one. Have you seen any differences in the willingness of different partner types to share that data? I mean, are you seeing a change in the sort of the business models within your partner base?
Yeah, I think that, everyone reacts differently. We do realize that data for the partners, like for any company nowadays, is really a big asset, right? Is really part of the gold of the company, and therefore, you know, some partners were more ready, some were less to share the data. I think it depends also on the digital readiness of the companies. I think some companies that were more digital ready, they had already made one step forward on the importance of data and how, you know, data could be used and harvested in a very efficient way. Some partners required a little bit more visibility, right? They were feeling more comfortable when we started to be able to share with them which kind of insights we were able to give them back. You know, everybody's in a different level of readiness for this discussion. You know, some partners wanted to be reassured about the security mechanism we had in place and the confidentiality of the data. And, you know, as you can imagine, that was one of our key priorities, you know, how we put in place, you know, all the security, the cyber security, but also, you know, basic security requirements and the way we police and manage the who has access to the data and not, you know, all of this was extremely important. So we had very different levels of discussions with different partners.
It'd be fascinating to see how they start to use that data to generate benefits for their business going forward. I guess you can update us in a year's time on how that's going. Yeah,
I really hope that, you know, as we are starting, you know, giving, you know, November, starting 2 days ago, actually, the channel partners got access to the portal, to their own specific set of reports, you know, to some demos and you know, tutorials on how to use the data. And then we'll start working with our account managers and with our marketing teams to see how we can use the data in a very efficient way. So very happy to show you some of this in a few months from now.
Yeah, that would be great. One of the elements you also have focused on is as a service and DaaS. And obviously there's a big opportunity there to jointly create data from the customer and to use that data. So what's the situation now around the adoption of those as a service models within your partner base?
So, I mean, I would start from the customer. As a service is definitely a big trend, right? We see it growing, and, you know, after the pandemic, it grew even more, you know, because of the work from home, because of the fact that people had to get equipped in a different way. And, you know, they also the expansion of, you know, subscriptions, you know, in any kind of activity we do nowadays is making the customers more comfortable about it. And then if you look at the business we are in, right, print has been historically a part of the market where a service-led model has been much better known, and, you know, everybody's familiar about it. I would say it's almost legacy business, right? Managed print services is a standard, and it has been for many, many years. When you look at PCs, it's a little bit newer, let's say, right? And I must say that, you know, at a customer level, all the big customers are talking about it, right? And they are really seriously evaluating, you know, how to move from a traditional, I purchase a hardware model to a model where they sign a subscription and they get a full service, right? And they focus very much on the user experience, right? What the users can do with what they get rather than what they get. I think that's really very, very big change. It is faster or slower in different geographies. It depends. The channel partners have been doing services and providing customers with a service-led model for a long time, right? But in a lot of geographies, there is still a separation between how the hardware is purchased and how the services are delivered, right? So despite the fact that the services have been, you know, a big part of the business of the channel for a long time, a lot of the hardware, especially in the PC space, is still purchased by the customers. And this is where we see the change moving. Also influenced a lot by the software business, right? So I think the customers are thinking more and more about, I get a service that includes the hardware, the software, the services that go with that. And don't forget sustainability. Sustainability is becoming very important, as you know, it's one of the big themes of Canalys this year. We also introduced the Amplify Impact, you know, to support that theme. But, you know, sustainability is going to drive, in my eyes, also a much stronger move to a subscription-based model, because with a subscription-based model, you in any case engage to take back the hardware and give a second life to the hardware, or dispose of the hardware in a different way, and it's all part of the agreement, right? So I think that elements like security, sustainability, the big growth of software will have a tremendous push to a device as a service model, as we call it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And of course, with Amplify Impact, you're actually starting to measure the sustainability capabilities of your partners, or across all sort of ESG metrics. Are you starting to see, or do you expect to see a polarization between those that are sort of moving ahead with those capabilities and those that are falling behind? Or do you think, are you seeing all of your partners moving towards that goal?
But again, I think that is a little bit more a question of speed. But the response to Amplify Impact that unfortunately is not live yet everywhere in the world, so we are really working on that, has been amazing, right? The number of channel partners that registered and went through the assessment and are working very, very actively with us. It's really amazing. We expected to have a positive impact, but not that big. And the ideas we get also from the partners, because consider that some of our channel partners are really very much ahead on this, right? They started a long time ago. So here also, I think we have different levels of speed, but we need to be very, very clear. We see our customers asking for that more and more. So I don't think any of us will have a chance, or will have the possibility to say, I don't focus on sustainability going forward, right? We see more and more RFPs, being very, very selective and very demanding about sustainability, public sector, probably even before anybody else, but all the big corporations. So, I would say sustainability is going to become very much a must going forward. And I'm sure that, all the channel partners that want to grow the business in the future have it very, very clear in mind. And they will continue to invest in that space and work together with us to get where we want to get. You probably heard Enrique committed to be the most sustainable company by 2040. And we can only do it if we do it with our channel partners, because our business is so dependent by the channel that we must do it as an ecosystem. We cannot do it alone.
Yeah, and I think Amplify Impact is one of the industry's first programs dedicated to that. So congratulations on that, because it takes vendors to take those steps to get things moving, I think, which is really important. Now, I want to focus on supply, because obviously supply has been a big issue in the industry, and HP has like others suffered as a result of this. So what should the partners expect going forward, going to next year? Are you seeing changes or improvements in the supply situation? How is HP responding to that?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, supply has been probably the biggest hurdle we had to go through in the last months for all the industry, and we realized, we definitely were not able to satisfy our customers and partners' demand as we would have liked to in the last months. There is a lot of focus, in making sure that we change processes, we change engagement with our providers, to make sure we can improve the situation more and more. Strong focus from the ELT to below. It's one of the top priorities of the companies. I think Enrique made it very, very clear also when he presented the company results, at the end of the quarter, and Christophe mentioned it in his keynote. This is really our top priority. We need to make sure that we improve that, and we work very closely with our channel partners to satisfy demand, as well as we can. Now, reality of the industry is really not changing. The providers of components are not giving us a very I would say rosy line of sight about the situation going forward. Even transportation, containers, everything is still very, very much challenged. We don't see a big improvement, ahead of us in the next couple of months. But, you know, with everything in the industry is doing, both in terms of, you know, improving availability on the provider side and on the vendor side by improving forecast, optimizing the product design, making sure we can better leverage the components that are available with a much higher level of flexibility. You know, all of that will give us results in the next months. And then it will also depend on demand, right? We all know that if demand starts to slow down, probably availability will not be an issue anymore. So the question we all ask to ourselves is it better to have shortages of supplies or shortages of demand? And having been in this business for a long time, of course, you know, we want to see the demand to continue to grow and us really being able to provide a much better level of availability to our channel partners and customers.
And very briefly, what are you seeing in terms of demand levels, particularly for PCs, you know, commercial versus consumer? Are you seeing a shift now towards commercial, slowdown in consumer? Any comments?
For the time being, actually, the demand is still very high. Definitely businesses are coming back, but business has been pretty good, you know, during the whole, you know, time of the pandemic. So we are still very optimistic about the fact that the demands for PC will still be pretty good in the months to come.
So my last question, very briefly, what one opportunity should partners focus on with HP in the next 3 to 6 months?
But we have a couple of areas we are doubling down on, right? Services and subscription is one, we talked about it. So with security is a big opportunity. You know, we made a couple of acquisitions also in software in the last months, you know, Bromium last year, Teradici, we are closing the acquisition as we speak. They are taking us to that software and security part of the business that is very important. Sustainability is a big opportunity going forward. And then for the channel partners that are also in that business, for us, everything that is industrial, printing, and 3D are really opportunities that we think can only grow going forward.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us, Luciana. Great discussion and nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much, and looking forward to see you all face to face soon.
Absolutely.